Welcome to Women and the Businesses They Own, the podcast that goes deeper than business plans and branding. I'm Sherry Hooper with Summit Wealth Partners, your host, and I sit down with powerful women entrepreneurs to explore what it really takes to build something bold, beautiful, and your own. Each episode, we ask questions others don't, questions that spark truth, honor complexity, and celebrate what it really means to lead as a woman in business and in life. And I'm so excited to welcome today's guest, Susie Marsh, a professional organizer who has built her business around helping people find peace in their spaces and clarity in their lives. Susie, thank you so much for being here today. Please start by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself, both personally and professionally.
Sure. Thank you, Sherry, for the invite. So personally, I am a lake gal. I live out near Gun Lake, and I love the outdoors. I love hiking, biking, walking, you name it. I'm out there. I'm out doing it. I love family time too. So if, anybody coming out on my pontoon boat, family and friends, we're just having a great time. And summer is filled with that. So I'm a little sad summer's over right now. But but
I
we're
am
moving.
extremely sad.
So, then as far as professionally, I'm also a licensed social worker in addition to a professional organizer. And I started my business in 2007. The last 6 years of me being an organizer or social worker at an agency that I worked for in mental health in the Grand Rapids area. I started the last 6 years of being there. Then I went full time in 2013 and never looked back.
Never look back. Well, that you make that sound easy. This is where we're going to try to figure out, or at least tell people it's not always that easy because we want people to want to do business, of course, because launching, I always say launching a business or starting a business is easy. What's the hard part?
Oh, it was gut wrenching. It was gut wrenching because I was at the agency I worked for 24 years.
Yeah,
And I had to jump off and as a solo entrepreneur, you don't have that safety net. You're gonna make it and you're gonna make your own path and you don't have the health insurance, the vacation time, the sick time, all of that stuff, but you have the flexibility, you have the power to make it what you want it to be. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go back into a regular job because I had done that forever. And they offered me that job to transition over and do that when my position ended at the agency I worked at. Um, but I didn't want to do it. I knew I wanted to be a professional organizer, and that's my business was building and building, and I just wanted to do that and asked my husband what he thought, and he's like, "Well, if you can do it, you do it." And so I did it.
well, that seems pretty simple. If you can do it, do it.
Yeah. He's a
And
man of a few words, so
yeah,
when he says something, I'm usually listening.
yeah, and take that for what it's worth, right? That seemed like a go for it to me.
Yes.
Well, what does order mean to you? Because as we're talked about, you're a professional organizer. I don't know if anybody really quite understands what that is or what you might have seen, but I really hope that you'll share some of that with us. So, what does order mean to you now compared to before? I mean, just maybe, as you said, you're a social worker. So now maybe what you've seen now as an organizer, what do you really see? I mean, how has that changed? What does that look like?
I would say so order for me because I am kind of more of the left brain person. I got a little bit of right brain, but I'm left. I'm logical. I'm, I think of things inside the box. But
Okay.
and when I first started my business and as a social worker, you have a lot of rules and regulations that you have to follow, and you have to when you're doing your job, you have to do those things.
Yeah.
So as I transitioned to be an organizer and as I have been in organizing for 18 years now, I see order as it's just not cut and dry anymore. It's all about um, it's not just structure and control. It's about functionality,
Okay.
accessibility, simplicity, and how it makes you feel and how order really helps people with mental health in the fact
Okay.
that they feel more control over things. So it's much more broad for me now.
Okay. I mean, when I think of a professional organizer, sometimes it's just, I mean, I would think like sometimes it's just two people working, a full house of kids, sports every night with practice, games on the weekends. And sometimes our closets just start to get full. You can't find anything anymore. And so maybe do you just go in and help just the everyday person get a little bit more order like what we were just talking
Yes.
about. I mean, sometimes it doesn't have to be massive amount of stuff. Sometimes it's just, oh my gosh, eventually I find 10 toothpaste because I could never find that I'd stuffed it so far back, or that I just didn't have time to really figure out where it goes or something like that. I mean,
Yeah. And
what's your
that's
average everyday client look like, I guess, maybe?
and that's the part I love about my job. Every day is different.
Okay.
I'm working with different people. I am working with families with young kids or teenagers or college age kids. All over the place, all the way to seniors, where I'm working with a 94-year-old in her
Okay.
spaces. And it's all very individualized. So if somebody calls me and said, "Hey, Susie, I need you to come look at my closets or look at my spaces," I'll say, "Yeah, let's look overall to see what's functioning or not functioning for your house." That's what the main thing is I look for. So it can be just as small as, I just need help getting my closet under control. I haven't gone through my clothes in forever. I don't know what fits anymore. I just keep picking out the same things over and over. And I said, well, you're not alone. Most people only wear 20% of their clothes anyway. Everything else is like a maybe. I
Right.
might
Right.
wear it. All the way to somebody that's lived in their house for 50 years and they have a lot of possessions that they haven't looked at in a long time. So maybe they need to go through that methodically because they may be ready to transition to a different living situation, to live with their family in another state, or they're just downsizing to go to a condo or a senior community.
Yeah.
It runs the gamut. And so every day is different. And I love that about my job. And
I think
it can be small or big. I say to people, it can be 2 hours or 200 hours. It all depends on what your needs are and what your goals are.
I love that every day you wake up, you're like, I wonder what I'm going to do today, or I wonder who I'm going to serve today, or I wonder what I'll find today.
Right. Because I have seen a lot in 18 years of doing this, and you think you see it all, and you don't. You
Is there
don't.
anything that stands out? Could you think of one thing that was just like, I can't believe I found what do you,
And so I was thinking about it, the kind of the strangest things that I usually are people like hair and teeth.
what?
It's so weird.
Do you mean
But
wigs?
wigs, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I had one client that had a huge collection of wigs. And so we had to organize those according to how often she wears them or what the occasion is or the color. And
The
yeah.
occasion.
But the teeth and stuff, it was either like um, somebody had them because it was their kids' teeth and they just couldn't part with those. It was very that human connection part, the hair and teeth and something physical of that person.
It's
That
making me like, you start talking about teeth, I can't imagine finding that. I think in some cases you,
dentures. I find gold teeth. I find all kinds of things.
oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Well, so when you walk into a cluttered space, what's the first thing you feel? Maybe not think, I mean, but when you walk into different rooms, there must be some sort of a feeling. I mean, explain what that might be like for you.
Yeah. I really have had to hone into that over the years. When I first started as an organizer, you're all excited and you go in and you're like, oh yeah, I see some clutter here and clutter there, and I'm gonna fix this and I'm gonna do that. And now it's more of like I go in, I look around and I do look at I pay attention to my other senses. I'm like,
Okay.
what am I smelling? What am I seeing? What am I stepping on? What I'm, just taking it all in, just looking around. How heavy does it feel? How does that environment feel? And I look for, is it throughout the house where there's a lot of clutter, or is it just hot spots?
Oh,
So I'm really just really assessing and looking around and seeing what the status is, I guess. of in that house. And then
Yeah.
I'm also looking at the person and talking to them. Are they talking to me, like giving me eye contact, or are they looking down? Are they, just really embarrassed that they're
Mhm.
having to, bringing
Mhm.
somebody in, so people think, oh man, why do I need a professional organizer? I said, well, do you do your own taxes? Do you do your own plumbing, your own
Right.
electrical, that kind of work? That's where I come in, is if organization isn't your skill set and it isn't for everybody, then that's where I help. And then as an organizer, and I'm part of NAPO, which is our National Association of
Right.
Productivity and Organizing Professionals. And with that group, we get ethics and training and all kinds of education, across the gamut, and how to be a good professional organizer. So you're looking at people individually. You're looking at how what their needs are, and you're assessing that way. So we have a standards for our industry, um, and so essentially, I always have that in the back of my mind when I'm
Sounds
when I'm
like
doing
it's
work.
really evolved. I mean, I didn't realize that there was so much behind the scenes and so many resources even for you to be able to do this for people. It's amazing how far that this has come for people to need this this work in their lives. What would you say is the average time that you spend with somebody in their home to declutter?
If somebody calls me and says, "Hey Susie, I have a two-stall garage that needs to be worked on and I want to get my car in the garage again for the winter," I'll say, "Okay, depending on how full it is always going to be the
Sure.
the big criteria, and how well you do with decision making on letting things go, or just going through the decision making is the big one. It can take 8 to 16 hours to do a
Oh,
garage,
oh, okay.
just
So
to go
just
through it,
so
just to
that
go
sounds
through the
like
things.
2 days, maybe 8 to 16
hmm
hours, 2 to
I
3.
always tell clients, I said, plan on 2 full days. It may be 3 full days,
Okay.
just seeing how much we have. And but if I'm going into a pantry and it's just like a open a door and it's just multiple shelves, three to
Yeah.
6 hours to do a pantry,
Okay.
on average, if I'm in there pretty much just working myself in it. Sometimes jobs are bigger where I have to have another set of hands. So I
Okay.
look to my colleagues, my that are throughout the Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo area, that are organizers just like me. Most of them are NAPO members just like I am, so they know they have the training and they're insured, and they're doing everything ethically, and they know what they're doing. I will pull them together as a team with me, and we will work on some big jobs together.
Oh,
So,
okay. So what can so it's just kind of making me think about the type of job. So if you went into the garage with somebody to do that, all the stuff that they're willing to get rid of, do you take that with you and do all the donations part for them?
so every session I do take a load of donations with me. I
Okay.
have an SUV, so I will load up my car and I'll drop it. I'll do some
Okay.
recycling for them too. If it's a little bit bigger than that, like let's say they got a lot of electronics that need to be
Yeah.
recycled, I'll drop them off at the right spot. Or if they need shredding and that kind of thing, I will have to, make my time billable for that.
Sure.
But
Oh,
just
sure.
at the end of each session, I will drop off a load of donations, and that really makes clients feel good at the end of a
Yes.
session because they can see the progress, they can see that they've made the decisions, those things are moving on to somebody else. I'll hook them up with junk haulers and things too. If there's bigger things that have to be hauled off site, so that they do get that sense of accomplishment and they can see, okay, I did make progress. And also, as being an organizer too, a lot of times we want to do what's called transference of skills.
Okay.
So we want to teach our clients how to organize. So if they don't have the ability or have not honed those skills, I will teach them so that they can maintain it on their own. Not all my clients can do that because I work in the realm of chronic disorganization too, which is a whole subset of organizing. And as a social worker, that's my niche.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Well, I did. So you're definitely bringing out some things I wasn't aware of. So now there's a say that again, a
Chronic disorganization.
somebody
hmm
can be just chronically disorganized.
Yeah.
And so you
So
help them overcome this by teaching, you're saying.
yeah, or accommodation. So chronic disorganization, there's just like, with dementia is like an umbrella term, and you
Right?
can have the different types underneath it, like Alzheimer's, vascular dementia, Lewy body, that kind of thing. Chronic disorganization is the same thing, where underneath that title is things like ADHD, anxiety, depression, hoarding, and then also older adults and people with physical challenges as well. So it's kind of an overarching term, but then all those subsets are underneath there. So I work with all of those types of conditions or challenges that people would have. Older adults is a really big segment for me, and ADHD is another really big segment.
So are you teaching along the way? So again, let's go back to the pantry. If you're in the pantry and you can sense this about them, or you see the symptoms of this chronic disorganization, do you come back an extra day to help go through the process and teach, or are you teaching as you're cleaning?
Teaching
Or
as we go, as I'm pulling
okay,
things out.
okay,
I'll show them my system on how we go about making those decisions. I'll say we have to set up some boxes. We have to sort things into these categories. Is it going to be a donation? Is it a keep item? Is it a sell item? Is it trash or recycle? And I'm going to start pulling things out of this pantry, and you're going to tell me if it fits in those categories, and we'll put them in those boxes. And those keep items are what's going to go back into that space. Oh, there's also a box called a relocate. And um, that means if there's something in there, like let's say we found a hammer in the pantry, that hammer is like, oh, that belongs in the toolbox in the mud room. I'll be like, nope, we're not going to run and do that right now, because then you're like going down a rabbit hole of I'm going to have to go find you in a little bit because you got
right.
distracted. So we put it in the relocate box. So all those things that go somewhere else in the house and not back into the space we're organizing, that relocate box either becomes the last thing we do in the session, or it becomes a to-do task for the client if they feel like they're up to it, but putting those things away. Even if it's going into a space that's not organized, those things are going into the right zone. As organizers, our brains think in zones. Like this is the zone for tools. This is the zone for food. This is the zone for all my bathroom items. And, so we try to teach people to think in zones if they can, or think of like things together on how they use things. Um, Again, the individuality of the person is what I have to look at too when we're making up the plan and
Okay,
how I'm teaching them. So somebody with ADHD,
yeah,
they're gonna remember things a lot better if the container is clear and if it has a label on it. So like if we're doing that pantry,
yeah,
I'll get some acrylic containers and we'll organize those things together according to how their brain works. So if they are better with, let's put the pasta and the pasta sauce together with the Parmesan cheese in a container, and then we'll label that pasta night or something on that container, and we'll put it back into the pantry. That way they know they got all the ingredients for that meal. Other people's brains will say, nope, I got to have all my pastas and condiments on this side and this bin is going to have all of my I don't know what you got in there, like bread and uh, spices and all of
yeah.
those kind of things. Just really separate it out. So you have to really dive in and figure out how people's brains work and what works best for them. We can't go in with an agenda as an organizer. You
Okay,
have to go in and listen to what the client needs and go with them, making recommendations based on what we know
sure.
and how we've organized for other clients in the past. But those are the really big ones. And that will really show whether or not you've been trained or not as an
Yeah.
organizer.
Well, so you must go in there, even though you may not have an agenda when you start with a client, you must have some questions that are helping you understand their behaviors or their values in order to help organize that
hmm
space.
And
Okay.
something as easy as, are you right-handed or left-handed? That
Yeah.
makes a difference in how you
Yeah.
set up a kitchen or pantry or
Yeah.
cabinet, as to how they're going to function with it. Because you don't want to be irritated every day when you've made your coffee and all your coffee mugs are halfway across the kitchen, not near to where you are actually pouring the coffee. We want things to flow well and have a good feeling in your spaces. So when you walk in, you'll be like, okay, I know exactly where those things all belong. My coffee's here, my coffee cups are here, my actually coffee, the actual coffee itself is nearby. So I can make those things easy enough. And so my kitchen is flowing well by having those things in order and easy accessible.
So when you walk into a kitchen, because I think the few times that I have moved, that's the most overwhelming one for me. It's like, okay, I have 20 cabinets. Where do my cups and dishes go? Where do my, plastic or my glass storage dishes go? Where do the pans go? I mean, it's because you do want that flow. So when you go to a kitchen, do you just automatically see the flow? Do you pretty much go, well, hey, glasses need to be by the sink or pans need to be by the oven, or is there just a systematic flow typically for you, or what is
Yeah, I start off with what's typical
okay?
for people, and I'll say, does that make sense? If you're right-handed, are your glasses going to go on the right cabinet next to the sink so that you can
Okay.
get your water easy? Um, I'll again with the chronic disorganization piece, with working with seniors and people with physical challenges, um, I'll ask them, okay, how far up can you reach for
Mm,
things?
that's a good one.
We
Yeah.
got to keep it lower for you to be able to access things. That's why you see a lot of things on countertops with seniors because
Okay.
they can't reach the upper shelves anymore, or in the closets they can't reach that. So we try to bring everything down for them, or have accessibility by having handles on baskets, or
Okay.
having their reachers nearby, just for that segment. And the same thing for kids. If I'm working in a pantry and the parents are like, yeah, I want them to have all their snacks and things available so I don't have to stop what I'm doing and get them all those things. I say, all right, let's set up this bottom row just for kid snacks, and we'll label it for them, that they know this is the spot these are the allowable foods and the things that you can go grab anytime you want to. And then keep the higher stuff up, the things that they aren't supposed to have all the time. Um, you really think about it on how it functions with the family or the person, and we set it up that way. We have general guidelines on how it could work, um, but we really have to think about how that family flows in that space.
Yeah. No, those are good ideas actually to keep the kids stuff where they can reach it, kind of become a little bit more independent on their own and
Hmm.
mom or dad a little bit. I can see that. When
Yeah.
you're organizing people, do you see, and maybe this isn't always the case, but sometimes it seems as though they would almost feel a sense of relief, or you would almost be able to see this emotional change in them, maybe a healing even, or I don't know. For me, it could just be a weight off their shoulders, Do you see that
Yes.
often?
Yes. And that's where I see success and I feel success, is when they make comments to me like, wow, does everybody feel like lighter after we do this process? And I said, well, I hear that often, but I'm glad I'm hearing it from you, that so this is being successful in the fact that your spaces are functioning more for you. You feel lighter, a less of a load on you, a less of that mental clutter. Um, yeah, so that's a big one. And then I'm looking at their body language too. Are they smiling? Are their shoulders up? Are they happy? That's a big thing. And if I'm walking out the door and they're happy and they're smiling, then I know we've had a good session, we had a good day. And some clients I'll work with, very short term, where it's, if I'm doing a pantry or their closets or whatever, and it's just like a 2 or 3 week period that I'm going in weekly and working with them on a few things. Or if it's just a one-time shot where I'm just going in and working on that thing that day and then we're done, there that's it's different. It's a different feeling. They'll they don't get to know me as well as somebody that's been seeing me for weekly for years.
Sure.
And I've
Yeah.
had some clients for years because they have chronic disorganization challenges and they need the ongoing assistance and help. But their sense of happiness and success, and I do like that connection with them. I use humor a lot on the job to keep them laughing and going through it because it's hard. If you're going through 50 years or 20 years of your possessions and you haven't gone through them, or you've gone through all of your family members things that you have inherited, I mean, it's going to bring up emotions, and it's not always easy, but I'll try to cut the tension with some humor, or just something fun, just
Yeah.
so they feel like, okay, this is not such a downer the whole time. We're gonna have some fun doing this, going through things.
That's good. I mean, because yeah, I mean, I could see where sometimes they wouldn't necessarily think that it's as fun. For me, being organized, clean, neat, I mean, oh man, that's fun to me. Or it's like checking off a list. It feels so good. So to
Yeah.
me, that's fun. But I could see where some people would definitely need some help, some assist, some conversations, some light jokes and humor along the way. But I'm
Hmm.
gonna I know that, so like this next question that I really have for you is more about you specifically because you're helping everybody unload things, unload, physical things or maybe their own emotional weight and what have you. But is there something that you've struggled with and had to let go of yourself?
I have a hoodie problem.
Like as in sweatshirts? That is not what I expected. Okay, how
I
many hoodies do you
I
have?
have a lot. My closet has a lot of hoodies. I am just drawn to them. And when I go through my clothes, and I do it regularly, just like I teach my clients, I go through my clothes and think, how often am I going to wear this? Does it fit? Is it in style? Do I like it? And hoodies are just so hard for me to let go of. It's
Do
so
you wear
funny.
them? Do you wear hoodies often?
I do all
Okay.
the time.
So when you travel or you go to a new adventure, a new event, you naturally just want to get a hoodie to remember that you've been there?
Yeah, I got like three of them from Alaska on my trip this summer. But I did have to
Okay.
purge some old ones, and that was hard for me.
So do you in Susie's closet, are they organized alphabetically by place? Are they organized by color?
Color.
Color. Okay.
I'm a color person. I like
Okay.
things grouped in colors. So, yep, yep. Those are the hard things for me. In this being in this job for such a long time, I've really streamlined how much stuff I have out, like clutter and tchotchkes and things, because I don't want to have to clean them all the time. Because your possessions are uh, are something that you have to be in charge of. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to clean them, maintain them, store them. They're a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the point, and now that I live on a lake, I want to have my time out there. I don't want to have
Yeah.
to fool with having to clean everything all the time. So I have it, I'm not a minimalist by any means, but it's streamlined. I can easily clean my house. I know where everything is. Um, and I've just, if, and I don't have to have everything, what do I want to say? A lot of my clients will say the what ifs. What if I need this down the road?
Oh,
I
yeah.
said, well, if there's the 2020 rule that's out there right now. If you can get something for under $20 in under 20 minutes, you don't have to store it in your house right now. Just get it as you need it. Like the just-in-time theory. Get something when you actually need it and not hold on to a lot of things for the just-in-case scenario. Um, because my clients over the years, they'll be like, well, I can tell you, Susie, I did need this certain something and I was able to go right to it and have it. And I say, yeah, but how many times did you actually have to use that item in, tell me, in that last 10-year period? Mm, maybe, mm, maybe once. Okay, well, you stored that for 10 years for that
Right. For the
particular reason,
one
right?
time,
One
the
time.
one time. I can say that every time I've ever donated, and like do it twice a year or one time in the year, and I don't wear the one thing that I get rid of. I'm teetering on the fence and I finally just do it. I get rid of it. It seems like I always want it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later. And I'm like, darn it, I held on to it all this time and now I need it. And then I think, No, I don't really. It's kind of a head game,
It
like
is.
because it
It
was the
is.
one thing that I was so unsure of. I swear I just made myself need it in my mind. And I'm like, no, you're fine. You don't need
Hmm.
it.
And that does happen sometimes with my clients. And I say to them, I'll tell you exactly where I dropped it off for donation, but I want you to really think about it before you go there to try to rebuy it. Just think about why you let it go in the first place. Does it
Hmm.
not have the meaning that it used to? Are you just tied to it and want to go get it because that emotion that's tied to it? It's not really about the thing, but the emotion. And that usually will get them thinking like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not really about that item. It's more about I'm worried I'm going to forget that memory.
Okay.
And
Always
so,
an attachment. Yeah.
yeah, I'll say, well,
Always
let's take
that
a
thought
picture.
process.
Take a picture of it before we even let it go, and we'll set it up on your phone. If we need to set up an album on your phone that has pictures of the things we're going through and you want to remember, but you don't want the physical thing anymore, then let's just take some pictures and we'll put it in that album and then you'll have it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And that usually
Yeah.
works pretty good.
Well, so do you think clutter says more about how we live or what we might avoid?
Both.
Both. Okay. Give me an
Definitely both.
example.
Yeah. So how we live is there's a lot of components to it. It can be generational. Like what kind of household did you grow up in? What were your parents like? I mean, I've had clients over the years that tell me, Susie, had never had anybody tell me how to clean or
Hmm.
how to show me how to clean. I just didn't have anybody show me. My mom just did it and never told me to do it, never gave me any responsibility in that. And so when I got my own apartment, then I really didn't know what I was doing and I just kept doing what I was doing and it didn't really work. There's we talked about the chronic disorganization piece,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
also plays into it. There's something called situational disorganization too, and that's not chronic. It just means there's something that's come up in your life that has made an impact. Like maybe there's a new baby in the house,
Oh.
or there is maybe you broke a leg and all of a sudden you're not as mobile as you used to be, and so you're setting things down more than uh, because maybe you're tired and
Hmm.
you just don't have the energy to go pick stuff up and go put it away. So those short-term things that happen in your life, so those have an impact on clutter around
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, you're right.
Mental health challenges also are in there too. But there is the aspect of avoidance and procrastination. And I found in my experiences, both as a social worker and organizer, that a lot of it's based in fear and the unknown, and what the consequences are. So a lot of times people will avoid things that they just don't know what the results are going to be, or they're fearful of what's going to happen if I do this or don't do this. And so the avoidance just happens. Procrastinate, procrastinate. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to think about it because then it won't happen. But so that whole thought process comes into it too. So I see both ends all the time.
Okay.
And so, yeah, everything really impacts how we are and how we live.
It makes me think about, like in my childhood, my family, my super clean, came right down from my grandma to my aunts to my mom. So one of my, like how smells can take you back to
Hmm.
certain things. My kids were just talking about this the other day, wearing cologne or perfume. And, the last time they remember this scent, where were they? Well, one of my earliest memories is lemon pledge. Like I would come home from school. That's it. I can smell it. Growing up, it was just come home from school, walk in the door, and lemon pledge everywhere. I mean, it was just that was so clean. Our house was always clean, and we had darker carpet. And my mom would pick up every piece of lint. She'd vacuum, and then if there was another piece of lint, you never walked by if there was lint.
Oh yeah.
Pick it
Oh
up,
yeah.
right?
I was the same way. My mom was very clean,
Yeah,
just very organized, and we didn't have a very, big house.
right. Yeah.
We had four girls, four daughters. They had four daughters, my
Okay.
mom and dad in this house, one bathroom. So you had to be,
Oh my God.
really, really
Yeah,
good about organizing all these girls going in and out of the bathrooms and
that's
things.
right.
But I laugh when you talk about the lemon pledge because my sisters and I just crack up because we're like, yeah, do you know on Sundays we would smell pot roast and pine saw.
That's what
That's what
it is.
we would smell.
Maybe some memories. Well,
And
and just the vacuum lines, like when you vacuum and you got the lines in the carpet, man, that
yeah.
just said something. It was clean.
And that generation had that one room in the house where it was the good room where you
Yeah.
didn't go into that room. And my mom had cream colored carpet
Oh,
and I mean, just it was beautiful. I mean, she was a wonderful decorator and everything. But man, you couldn't go in that room. And then her sisters, when they came over, they stood guard and they're like, no, you can't go in that room. Nobody's allowed in that room.
what place are you in the four? In the four girls, what
I'm
position?
number three.
You're the third
Three.
one.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, do you ever relate that with what you do, being third born? I don't know. That's like middle child.
Yeah. Yeah. I do attribute, as I get older, I see a lot of my mom in me.
Okay.
And, I acknowledge I have a little bit of OCD stuff in me. I do. And
That
my
helps
mom
you
did
with your
too. I
clean.
did too. It makes me good at my job.
Right.
It does.
Right.
But it also, I've had to like relax a little bit because it was, pretty good. When I was a social worker, um, I like helping. I like you got that fix it mentality too, that I'm
Yeah.
going to help fix. But there's no fixing people. There's just helping and providing them the options and the path maybe that they can take, just giving them options, that kind of thing. But yeah, so that part of my personality, I do
Yeah.
like structure, I do like order, but I also like flexibility and I
Okay.
like accessibility. And so they kind of all merged and they kind of overlap in what I work with. So when I'm working with clients, I always tell them, we are not looking for perfection. We're looking for progress.
Progress is good.
Yeah,
Yep.
looking and going forward. Progress is good, not perfection. And I've
Progress.
told them about my own personal issues with that too in the OCD part. I'll say, hey, I have some of these tendencies myself. So it's not like I live in a bubble and my house is absolutely perfect because I get that question all the time. Your house must be absolutely organized and perfect. I said, well, I have two other people that live here, my son and my husband. And they are not OCD people and they are, so I give them the structure in here on where to go. Like that section is all yours. You can do whatever you want with that section.
And they're
But
like, freedom.
yeah, this part's all yours. So, but this area we got to keep open and clear and organized so we all can find what we need when we want to.
Do you have more than just one son for children?
I have a daughter too.
Okay, all
Hmm.
right. One son, one daughter. So when you were doing this, were they pretty young when you transitioned? Because you had talked about way back in '07,
Yeah.
you were kind of part-time social worker and kind of launched your business. And then I guess you said, I think it was 2013, did you say when you went full-time?
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, what was that like with your kids when you were kind of starting the business or balancing being mom and shuffling them to whatever?
Yeah, it was definitely a balance. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. My husband has always had jobs where he's had to work a lot of long hours, and
Okay.
so more of the responsibility would fall on me to make sure they got to their practices and school events and things. But I mean, he was there when for all the big events and things, but I was one that kind of ran that. But and I was very blessed in the agency that I worked as a social worker. They had a lot of flexibility for me.
Okay.
So I was able to work 25, 30 hours a week, and then I had more time to be with my kids and stuff too. And then as I transitioned into professional organizing, I can set my own schedule. That's the main thing with working for yourself. You can set your own schedule and make things work on how
Hmm.
you need it to work. And so if I want to work evenings, like this week, I'm going to be working some evenings, I'm going to do that. If I don't want to work evenings, I won't work those. So
Do you feel guilty if you take the day off and work an evening just because is there just this habitual idea that we all work during the day? And if you're not working that day, is it hard to,
at first, I probably as a newer organizer, yeah.
yeah.
But I always have a list on my calendar of what things I have to do.
Okay.
So, but I'm also really aware that I have to do self-care. I have to do self-care to keep my body going. So 18 years doing this job, physical job, it wears on me. And I'm
Yeah.
going to be 60 in January.
Okay. Oh,
So,
big birthday. How are you going
yeah,
to
big,
celebrate?
huh?
Do you have any plans? How are you going to celebrate?
Well, I don't know. Well, I told my sisters, I said I would like to have some kind of party get together, but I don't want to plan any of it. I don't want to organize any of it. And so I said, you guys just do something for me. I don't really care what it is. I don't need to have a surprise party, nothing like that. I said, just you guys go off and do your thing. So, and they're great at it. My whole family is great at doing that.
That's
Um,
nice.
yeah.
Somebody
Yep.
else has to do the parties because you're doing the heavy lifting here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what's one failure or false start that ended up shaping you into a better professional or even a better person?
So in the 18 years, I've really just made a conscious effort when I'm talking to my clients and setting up their expectations ahead of time about how long it's going to be on to do a project or talking to them about the decision making, their abilities on how that's going to impact things. I really had at the very beginning of being an organizer, I don't think I clarified that enough. And as I'm getting older, I'm just really spelling it out with everybody. I said, I am going to be totally honest with you. This is what I'm seeing. This is what, I'm looking at for how many hours. So you can do your budget that way. Have I done things wrong? Absolutely. Have I messed it up? But I've always told people, just tell me if I've messed it up. I will fix it. I will do my best to fix it. Were there some clients that I wasn't able to make them happy? Yeah, there were. And do I feel bad about that? Yeah, I do. I wish I could have helped them more, but it
Mhm.
just didn't sync very well.
Okay.
So I really am conscious about telling any clients that going forward, just be really open and honest with me. If you don't like something, it's not a personal reflection on how I've organized something. I said, I'm just doing it according to what you need, what your goals are. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We can go back and refine it. We'll redo something so it does work for you. It's
Mhm.
not my house. It's not my spaces. I'm just there to help you get to have what you want and what your goals are in those spaces. So I really, really had to be more upfront on that with clients. And I have a client agreement that is kind of long. And I always joke with them. I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, this is like signing a mortgage. But I've been doing this so long that I want to make sure I cover a lot of things like confidentiality. Everything's confidential with clients. I don't go out and start talking about I did so and so spaces and
Oh, sure, right.
everything is very professional. And I tell them with that client agreement, I'm just going through everything with you because I want you to know all of my policies and procedures. And I apologize it's long, so I'm going to try to summarize it for you. But I've also worked in a lot of situations, like with hoarding situations, which is part of chronic disorganization. And you have to be on your toes with that because there's health and safety risks when you work in those situations. And I always think about my clients that live in those situations with their health and safety. So, I see it as my job to educate them on some of that. Like, if
Mhm.
you have a mouse infestation, what does that mean? Or how do we go get you some more help? Or, all of those aspects of things. I have to be upfront with them and almost turning 60, I'm not sugarcoating stuff anymore. I'm just going to tell you and I'm going to put some humor in there and we can go with it.
I'm not sure where that humor falls in the mouse or rat infestation. I freak out if there's ants up in my cottage, like you can expect some of that when you're up north but
Uh-huh.
ugh. Okay.
Yep.
All right,
I've
I have
uncovered a lot of things over the years
yeah.
and people are just not aren't aware. Infestations and mold are big ones
Mm,
that people are
mm-mm.
just not aware of.
Well, when you bury it or stack things higher, I mean, you're just never gonna. see it.
Right.
You're creating the problem most likely, and then you just never see it or know that it's there, and just
Yep.
oh, okay. So
Until you start moving stuff out, then you
please,
find out.
surprise.
Yeah.
Well, if your younger self could shadow you today, what do you think she'd be proud of, and what would surprise her most?
So it's funny. I was so painfully shy as a child, like painfully shy, to the point where my sister, the one that's closest in age to me, she's 14 months older than I am. She talked for me,
Oh, okay.
literally talked for me. And she was my go-to girl. And so I was shy pretty much all the way up through high school and stuff. I just didn't didn't feel like I had something to contribute, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So I
All
didn't
right.
talk a lot. And it was super quiet. I mean, my parents would joke about that too. They're like, "Ah, we don't know where Susie is in the house because it's just so quiet." But so as I got into college, and my family all says this too, I really just kind of blossomed, and I really kind of fell into who I am and what, my who I am, I guess.
Yeah.
And so when I was in high school, my job counselor said to me, she goes, "I think you would make a great social worker." And I was like, "Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll go down that path." Well, being a social worker, you got to be out there talking to people and you got
Right.
to interact all the
All the
time.
time.
So I pretty much just threw myself into these type of jobs that where I had to put myself in uncomfortable situations and just do it. I didn't like driving. So being a social worker, I had to drive everywhere. So that I
Yeah.
had to learn to drive and just get out there and do it. Being a professional organizer, I didn't see myself as having to like talk to people about my job and my business and and be that salesperson kind of thing, which I really don't like that part. And still I just don't. I just
Right.
say who I am and what I provide, and you can have me do those services for you or not, kind of thing. But and then I expanded and I went into speaking. So I speaking in front of groups,
I've
and
seen you.
and I talk, and so my younger self would be like, "Holy cow, I did not expect that to happen."
Yeah, like,
Because
who are you?
being so painfully shy, and I know it's just really transformative, and I can just tell people that are listening to this that you just never know what your abilities are until you actually just try. You just try to do it. You see how you function in those spaces. I never thought I was going to be a speaker or be on podcasts or just be in front of people talking to them all the time or being one-on-one with people every day all day long.
Yeah.
Never thought that that was going to be me, but
Well,
that's
it's
me.
like fighting fear. I mean, you just fought right through. I mean, I don't know if it felt like a fear necessarily, kind of
Yeah.
was a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so it seems like you just fought right through it. Knowing you as much as I do right here and seeing you on stage or, talking to you and we bump into each other, I would have never known you were the quiet one.
Yeah. Yep.
What?
Yes, my sisters.
You're
I-
so, I mean, you're so comfortable around people now. So,
yeah.
um, well, Susie, this has been such a meaningful conversation. Thank you for sharing your journey and your perspective with us. But before we wrap up, I always like to end with a few lightning round questions, quick answers, first thing that comes to mind. So
Okay.
no prep work on this one, just kind of off the cuff. And so I would say your favorite pontoon beverage.
Ooh, probably it's New Holland, what are they called? Blackberry Bramble.
Oh, I have not tried that. I'm gonna
Oh,
have to try
they
Berry
are
Bram.
fabulous, but wicked.
Wicked. Is it like up there percentage wise?
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah. It does not take much, but man, are they good.
Blackberry Brimble. Okay. Favorite organizing tool you can't live without.
Label maker.
Oh, for sure.
Hmm.
Messiest room in your home, and be honest.
It would probably right here. That's my husband's area.
Is this your office space?
Yeah, behind me is my office space, and then he's got this section over here. But
Can't even
yeah,
tell.
I'm like, that's his section. He's got to deal with it.
How about a dream celebrity client you wish you could organize for?
Oh, oh, that's a hard one. Oh gosh, I can't even think of anybody.
Anybody, maybe not famous, just somebody that you know you need to help. They're not asking for it.
I I don't know. You stumped me.
Okay, well, I'm gonna move to the next one then. How
Well,
about
maybe Laura Kelso. I would love to go to her house, to her new house, and see.
she probably would love that too, because I mean, it's hard when you move and got boxes everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to figure out the organization of a new place.
Oh, moving is so stressful. Ugh.
Yeah. Okay, how about closet tip? What would be a quick closet tip to share with our listeners?
Think about how you like to organize it. Is it by color or outfits? And
Okay,
go with it.
closet. Okay.
Go with that system, one or the other.
And when you're organizing, so something like a garage or something where you're not having to talk with somebody or teach along the way, if it's just you going at it, what do you listen to? Like if you have earbuds in, and what would you listen to? Podcasts, songs, music.
Music. I love music. Absolutely love music.
What's your favorite genre?
I um I like a lot of different things. If you see my iPhone and it's going off, I mean, I got music from Outlander, which is Celtic, to I have some hard rock stuff on there. My stuff
Oh,
from the 80s, Van
yeah.
Halen and
Oh yeah.
some of that stuff. And then I go into country, which
Oh,
I love country too. Keith Urban's been my favorite for years and years and years.
okay. Do you
So
have a
when I put my songs on and I do a shuffle, you don't know what you're getting because I got a lot of stuff coming out of
that's
there.
broad?
Yeah, it's very broad. I love music. And usually when I'm working with a client, I'll ask them if they want to put music on or not and what their favorite is.
Okay.
And I can usually handle anything, but rap is probably not my favorite out of all of it. But so they'll put it on. But sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. And I said, don't be alarmed if I start singing.
You don't even have to be in the shower. You're just gonna.
Right, just singing.
Well, one thing that really resonated with me as we've gone through this whole thing and a couple of notes that I've taken, I really love the part where you said you're working toward your progress. You're working towards progress, not perfection. I think you said it the opposite way, and I wrote down progress, not perfection. That was just a real key thing that really stood out to me today, and maybe even our listeners as well. And hopefully
Mhm.
something stood out to our listeners. So thank you, Susie, for being part of Women in the Businesses They Own. Your story matters and you told it beautifully. And for those of you listening, always remember she came, she spoke, and she inspired. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.